permanently lose their power, and once you see it, you won't look at your busy life the same again. If you're ready, comment, locked in. Because the man who can lock his attention can lock his destiny. He doesn't chase stimulation, he commands it. He becomes unreadable to temptation and unreachable to noise. This is how kings are built in silence, one controlled hour, then another, until discipline becomes your default. That default makes defeat impossible, even when motivation dies. To build focus, you must see the enemy, an economy built to harvest your attention that if you can be interrupted, you can be controlled. That's the law. Attention is the real currency, because attention decides what you build, what you tolerate, what you become. Whoever controls your attention controls your life, and that's why everything competes for it. Not because it's entertaining, because it's profitable. Because a man with scattered attention is easier to sell, easier to manipulate, easier to distract from his own power. Machiavelli understood this in courts. The king wasn't surrounded by friends, he was surrounded by courtiers, people competing for access to his ear, his mood, his decisions. Modern distractions are the same courtiers in digital form. They don't bow, they ping. They don't flatter, they bait. They don't whisper in halls, they live in your pocket. And they will keep taking land until you build borders. So understand your territory map. Your mind is territory, the thoughts you allow inside shape your confidence and your patience. Your phone is territory, it is either a tool or a leash, depending on who has access to it. Your environment is territory, messy space creates messy attention, and temptation placed nearby becomes a daily war. Your schedule is territory, what you say yes to becomes your identity in slow motion. Your social access is territory, people who pull you into drama, arguments, and urgency are invading your focus. Focus is not talent. It's governance. It's the ability to rule your inputs, your time, your emotions, and your environment like a disciplined leader. Weak men rely on mood and motivation. Strategic men build systems that make focus automatic. That's why some men get powerful quietly while others stay loud and stuck. They don't have better genetics. They have stronger borders. They protect their attention like land, because land produces wealth, and attention produces outcomes. Once you see focus as territory, you stop treating distraction like a harmless habit. You treat it like an invasion. And you respond like a ruler, gates, rules, consequences, control. Now we start the system. First you stop the bleeding, identify where your focus leaks. Your day isn't busy. It's punctured. Focus doesn't disappear all at once, it leaks out through tiny holes you've stopped noticing. Notifications that hit your brain like darts. Open tabs that keep your mind half-finished. Reactive messaging that turns you into a customer service agent for other people's needs. A messy environment that constantly reminds your brain there's unfinished business everywhere. Porn and endless novelty that train your reward system to quit the moment effort appears. Sleep debt that turns discipline into a fantasy. Unresolved conflict that plays in the background like static, stealing attention even when you're working. Law 1 is to kill the leaks, because you can't build intensity on top of constant bleeding. Start with a leak audit. For one day, track what steals minutes and mood. Not in your head, on paper. Write down every time you switch tasks, check your phone, open a new app, refresh a feed, or chase a distraction, just for a second. Then write down what triggered it: boredom, anxiety, pride, loneliness, fear of missing out. You'll find the pattern fast. Most men think they lack motivation. They don't. They lack containment. Weak men blame time, I'm busy. Strong men track leaks, I'm bleeding attention. Once you see the leaks, you stop arguing with yourself emotionally. You start treating focus like engineering. Erase them, because emotional noise kills deep work. This isn't self-help. This is war maintenance. The man who finds his leaks early becomes dangerous early, because his attention stops being stolen. And when attention stops leaking, power starts accumulating. Once you see the leaks, you build walls. Law 2 is input control. Most men can't focus because they've trained their brain to twitch. Every swipe teaches your nervous system one lesson: don't stay. Switch. Every feed trains your attention span to collapse at the first sign of boredom. And then you wonder why you can't sit with a hard task, why you can't read, why you can't build. Law 2 is input discipline, because your mind is what you feed it. Inputs program everything: your mood, your patience, your libido, your risk tolerance, your hunger to work, even your confidence. If you feed your brain outrage and thirst and novelty, you will become a man addicted to reaction. If you feed it clarity and silence, you become a man who can hold a thought like a weapon. Start with the purge. Turn off every notification that isn't life or death. If it matters, it will wait or it will call. Delete the apps that turn you into a consumer. Remove the shortcuts that lead to relapse. Put friction between you and the poison. Next, control your phone placement. Where your phone lives is where your attention lives. Keep it out of your bedroom. Keep it out of your deep work zone. Put it behind a closed door if you have to. Then enforce a content diet. You don't eat random food off the street and expect a strong body. Stop feeding your mind random content and expecting a strong will. Choose what you consume like you choose who enters your house. Discipline, strategy, skill, silence. Starve the rest. And train boredom like a muscle. When you feel the twitch to check, don't negotiate. Sit still. Let the urge peak and fall. That's you taking your nervous system back from addiction. This is not restriction. It's protection. Because every input is a vote for the kind of man you are becoming. The world wants you stimulated because stimulated men don't build. They react. They buy. They complain. A disciplined man feeds his mind like a king feeds an army, only what creates strength. With inputs controlled, you now need a weapon: deep work. If you can't sit in discomfort, you can't build dominance. Deep work is modern warfare, the ability to lock your mind on one target while the world screams for your attention. In a noisy age, the man who can stay with one task for 90 minutes is richer than the man with talent and no control. Because money is focus compounded. Mastery is focus repeated. Status is focus made visible over time. Law 3 is deep work blocks, and it starts with a simple command: single target, single window, zero switching. Set a 60 to 90 minute block. One objective. One tab. One notebook. Phone out of reach. Notifications dead. You're not working, you're under siege, and you're holding the wall. The first 10 minutes will feel like withdrawal. Your brain will beg for escape: check, snack, scroll, message, anything. That begging is proof the training is working. Stay. Let boredom burn. Let the urge rise and fall without obeying it. Then you enter the state most men never reach: quiet, sharp, absorbed. Use physical cues to trigger it. Same desk. Same music or silence. Same drink. Same start ritual. Your body learns: when this cue happens, we execute. And start before comfort arrives. Don't wait for the perfect mood. Mood is for consumers. Builders start cold. When the block ends, stop. Rest. Walk. Then return for another block later, because consistency beats heroism. Here's the FOMO truth: very few men can do this daily. That's why very few men become dangerous. Everyone wants results, almost nobody can tolerate the boredom and pressure required to earn them. Deep work is the separating line between men who talk about potential and men who turn potential into power. Train it and your life will accelerate, skills stack, income rises, confidence hardens, and distractions start to feel childish. You'll start to feel the difference: conversations sharpen, your posture changes, your patience thickens. You stop chasing stimulation and start chasing completion. Completion builds self-trust, and self-trust becomes quiet dominance. When you can suffer without escape, nothing outside you can break you, because you've already conquered the hardest enemy, your own impulse. Deep work requires energy, so law 4 is bodily discipline. Your brain can't focus if your body is in chaos. Men want mental power while living like their body is irrelevant, then they wonder why their attention collapses. A weak body creates a weak mind because the body is the engine that carries discipline. If you sleep like a gambler, eat like a child, sit like a broken man, and flood yourself with stimulants, your nervous system becomes unstable. An unstable nervous system can't hold deep work. It reaches for comfort. It reaches for escape. Law 4 is body discipline, because focus is physical before it's philosophical. Start with sleep. Same window, same wake time. Not perfect, consistent. Your brain needs rhythm to produce clarity. Then daily movement. Train your body so your mind learns obedience. Lift, run, walk, push-ups, doesn't matter. What matters is the daily signal, we do hard things on command. Next, protein and water. A dehydrated, underfed brain becomes impulsive and anxious. Fuel it like you want it to perform. Get sunlight early, it anchors your circadian rhythm and sharpens alertness. Reduce stimulants that spike you and crash you. Too much caffeine creates fake focus and real anxiety, and anxiety is the enemy of sustained attention. Watch posture 2. Slumped posture tells your brain you're defeated. Upright posture tells it you're in control. This is why disciplined men look different before they speak. They carry structure. Contrast is simple, weak men chase motivation. Strong men obey routines. Motivation is a mood. Routine is a weapon. When your body is trained, your mind stops negotiating. You sit down to work and you work. You feel resistance and you push. You feel boredom and you stay. That's the real secret, the body becomes the anchor that keeps your mind from floating into distraction. Build bodily discipline and focus stops being fragile. Now we remove the most dangerous focus killer, emotional entanglement. They steal your focus by stealing your emotions. Most men don't realize how much attention is burned in invisible fires, arguments they replay, messages they rewrite, jealousy they feed, validation they chase, relationship chaos they tolerate because they're afraid of being alone. That is emotional warfare, and it keeps you in a permanent state of mental noise. You can't do deep work when part of your mind is waiting for a reply, proving a point, or scanning for disrespect. Law 5 is to cut the drama, because focus is impossible when you're emotionally rentable. If someone can trigger you, they can steer your day. So you enforce boundaries like a ruler. No instant replies. Urgency is how manipulators control tempo. Let messages wait until you're calm. Use silence as a shield. Don't over-explain. Don't argue in public. Public fights create witnesses and narratives drain energy for weeks. Handle issues privately or not at all. And cut drainers without speeches. If a person brings chaos every time they enter your space, remove their access. Stop feeding gossip. Gossip is mental junk food, it feels social, but it rots focus. Stop chasing validation online. Every time you post for approval, you hand your attention to strangers and wait for them to tell you who you are. That's weakness disguised as confidence. A focused man builds identity through execution, not feedback. And end emotional loops quickly. If you must confront once, cleanly, then move. If the problem repeats, it's not a misunderstanding, it's a pattern. Patterns don't need conversations, they need consequences. This is protective, not paranoid. The goal is simple, a quiet mind. Because a quiet mind becomes a weapon. When you cut drama, you reclaim hours of attention you didn't know you were losing. You stop waking up with emotional debt. You stop working with a background soundtrack of rage and anxiety. And once your emotions are governed, focus becomes natural again. With drama removed, you can design your environment to make focus automatic. Willpower is fragile. Systems are permanent. If you rely on motivation, you'll focus only on your best days, and your best days won't build an unstoppable life. Law 6 is environment engineering. Make focus the default by design. Start with your desk. A clean desk is a clean command center. Remove everything that isn't tied to the mission. Clutter is not just mess, it's 1,000 tiny decisions your brain keeps making. Then build single device zones. Your deep work zone is for one device only, the tool you need to execute. No second screens, no phone nearby, no just-in-case tabs. Distance creates discipline. Next, add friction to bad habits. Make distraction inconvenient. Log out. Delete shortcuts. Put the app behind 2 walls. If porn is the leak, remove the access completely and block it. If scrolling is the poison, keep the phone in another room. If snacks derail you, don't store them at arm's reach. Then add cues for work. Same chair. Same start ritual. Same playlist or silence. Same time. Your brain learns the pattern and enters focus faster, like a soldier responding to a command. Decide your silence protocol. If music helps, use one playlist that becomes your trigger. If silence helps, enforce it like law. And protect the environment socially too. Tell people your focus window is closed, then prove it by not answering. Contrast is simple. Chaotic men rely on mood. Strategic men rely on systems. Mood is unpredictable. Systems are repeatable. When your environment is engineered, you stop wasting energy resisting temptation because temptation isn't within reach. Your mind becomes calmer because the room is aligned with your goal. This is how disciplined men look, naturally focused. It's not natural. It's designed. Now we lock the schedule. Focus must have a protected time slot. Most men sell their best hours for free. They give away the sharpest part of their brain to messages, meetings, and meaningless noise, then try to build their future with leftovers at night. That is why they stay average. Law 7 is to schedule like a warlord and protect prime hours. Prime hours are the window when your focus is strongest, your willpower is highest, and your mind is clearest, usually the first 2 hours after waking. That is when you build money, skill, body, and mastery. So you defend it like a fortress. Plan the day the night before. Not a long fantasy, 3 priorities, 1 deep work target, 1 boundary. Then wake up and execute before the world touches you. No notifications. No social feeds. No conversations that can wait. Because if you let the world enter first, it sets your tempo, and you spend the day reacting. Batch communication. Decide 1 or 2 windows to answer messages and handle logistics, and outside those windows, you are unreachable. Say no without apology. A warlord doesn't negotiate the schedule with every soldier who wants attention. If you're always available, you're always controllable. Enforce response delays on purpose. Speed is not kindness, speed is weakness when it trains others to interrupt you. Let people feel the weight of your boundaries. The ones who respect you will adapt. The ones who used your availability will complain. Let them complain from outside the gate. Protect your first 2 hours like it's your inheritance, because it is. 2 hours a day is 14 hours a week. 14 hours of deep work is a second life. That's how men become dangerous quietly. And don't confuse busyness with importance. Most meetings are camouflage for low focus. Most urgency is manufactured. Your schedule must serve your mission, not other people's impulses. If this hits you, comment prime hours. Because the man who defends his prime hours defends his destiny. Now you'll learn the final layer. Focus isn't a habit, it's identity. Every time you resist impulse, you become harder to defeat. That's the real secret of laser focus. It isn't built by a perfect plan, it's built by repeated proof. Proof that when your brain begs for escape, you don't move. When boredom whispers, you don't reach for stimulation. When discomfort rises, you don't negotiate. You execute. That's the no-flinch identity. The world is full of men who flinch at the first sign of effort. They open a new tab. They check a message. They chase a quick hit. They tell themselves they'll come back. They don't. And over years, that flinch becomes a personality, scattered, inconsistent, emotionally twitchy. Focused men are different because they've trained their nervous system to stay. They can sit in silence without panic. They can feel urge without obeying it. They can work while the mind complains. That's not talent. That's conditioning. And it changes everything. When you become the man who doesn't flinch, distractions start to look small. Other people's urgency stops feeling like authority. Your own impulses stop feeling like commands. You stop being at war with yourself because the rules are clear, the task comes first. Then rest. Then reward. Not the other way around. This is how identity is forged, one refusal at a time. One deep work block completed. One boundary enforced. One night you sleep instead of scrolling. One morning you build instead of consuming. Scattered men seek stimulation because stimulation makes them feel alive. Focused men seek outcomes because outcomes make them powerful. They don't need to broadcast effort. They build in silence and let results announce them. And once you have this identity, nothing in the world can defeat you, because defeat requires access to your attention. You don't give it. You guard it. You command it. You are no longer a man trying to focus. You are a focused man. Now we end with the code, short, quotable, and dangerous. This is the creed. Kill the leaks, because your day isn't busy, it's punctured. Control your inputs, because your mind becomes what you feed it. Build deep work blocks, because the ability to suffer without escape is the real advantage. Discipline the body, because a weak body creates a weak mind. Cut emotional drama, because they steal your focus by stealing your emotions. Engineer the environment, because willpower is fragile and systems are permanent. Schedule like a warlord, because prime hours decide your future. And become the man who doesn't flinch, because every time you resist impulse, you become harder to defeat. This is how focus becomes lethal, not through motivation, but through governance. You stop begging your mind to cooperate and start commanding it. You stop living in fragments and start living in execution. And once you can execute, the world can't stop you, because nothing beats a man who finishes. Hear the final declaration and let it set your standard. You're not busy, you're building. You're not distracted, you're disciplined. You're not weak, you're trained. Distraction is the drug they sell to keep you small. Focus is the weapon you build to become rare. If you're ready to live by this, comment, locked in. And if you want more Machiavellian focus, stoic discipline, power psychology, and strategic self-mastery, subscribe. This channel is for men who refuse to be harvested. You don't need more time. You need more control. Guard your attention like territory, and you become the kind of man nothing in this world can defeat. Stay locked in.